Now, Zoe, it would be so easy just to toddle off down to the bakery or your supermarket and buy yourself some hot cross buns.
True?
But why not make your own? They're really simple to do. I mean, there's a few ingredients and it's a little bit of time, but believe me, when you make your own, I think they taste so much better.
Done with love.
Exactly. Now, what I've got here is I've got 2 tablespoons of yeast or a satchel of dried yeast. I put in some warm water with a bit of sugar in there and some flour as well. So the yeast has got something to feed off. You let it sit there in a warm place for, 4 or 5 minutes and it starts to foam on top like that.
I love the smell of yeast.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
It has this sort of earthy smell to it. It's really yummy.
I love it. And you want to get it in there while it's nice and warm. I'll hand that to you, Zoe. I've got a cup of milk here. Now, I've made the milk at room temperature.
Okay.
You could put it in the electric oven, the microwave for 10 seconds just to warm it up. But the idea is to have everything at room temperature. So, of course, the yeast has got warmth to feed off. That's one thing that yeast needs is food, and the other thing is warmth. Yep. So what I'll do, Zoe, is I'll crack this egg in here for you.
Sounds like us, doesn't it?
It does.
Warmth,
there we go.
Food, love.
That's what it's all about. Now, get that egg there. There's a fork there. I want you to whisk that up. Now, I'm also going to... And then throw it straight in once it's whisked up nice and fine. I've got some spice here. I've got a pinch of cinnamon here. Cinnamon's a good start. I've also got some allspice in here as well. A nice sort of pinch of that or a quarter of a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, whatever you want. I've got some clove here. Now, clove is really strong. Yep. So I only put a little bit. I'm only going to put about a quarter of a teaspoon. Oh, maybe a little bit too much there, but that's OK. We want a bit of spice in there. And I've got some nutmeg. Normally, you buy the nutmeg in a powdered form or ground already, but if you buy it like this, you can just grate it over a microplane or a cheese grater. You get a much stronger flavour, and I think it's much fresher. I think it's got a better flavour. And
all of these spices have a lovely warming property to them as well. So, it's kind of warmth and Christmassy, even though it's Easter. I love it.
Now, I've got 4 cups of flour. Now, this is like a bread flour, which is quite strong. You don't want to use a weak flour. You want plenty of gluten in it. You want it to be nice and strong because it is like a bread. So you want it to sort of stretch. So what I'll do is I'll mix that in. Now, over there in that bag, I've got some mixed peel. Normally, I add some mixed peel and some currants and some raisins and stuff.
Yeah, you
but
do too.
These are all together in one bag. Now, what I'm going to get you to do is throw in about a cup and a half of all of that. It's got all the mixed peel and everything in it already. Raisins,
sultanas. It makes it nice and easy when it's all pre-done for you.
We love it when it's nice and easy. And as you can see, I haven't had to do much. I've just sort of mixed it together. You like that, don't you?
I love the peel, the orange zest.
Now, what I'm doing is I'll dust this board here with a little bit of flour, and I'll just take this straight out here. What I'm going to do, Zoe, is just knead this. And I want you to keep that flour handy because this is a fairly wet dough. So I just keep adding a little bit of flour to it if it gets a little bit sticky. And what I'm going to do is just work this for, a good 4 or 5 minutes just to stretch it. Now, I've got a bowl here, Zoe. What I want you to do is grab some of that olive oil, put a couple of drops in it and wipe it around. When this dough rises, we want a little bit of oil around the bowl.
Just use my hands?
Yeah, rub it around with your hands.
Nice and clean.
Well, I've got my hands into this dough, so I'm sure you can get your hands in there. I just want it to not stick to the side, but I really want to work this so it becomes more of a bread dough. There we go. Couple more kneads like this. We've got it together. And there we have a beautiful hot cross bun dough. Now, we need to rest this and let it rise. It'll take probably, 30 to 40 minutes, and you'll see it because it'll actually rise up to the top of the bowl. In it goes, but make sure you put it in a warm place. A cling film over the top of it, or maybe even a tea towel. That just keeps it nice and moist in there. It's what you need. We'll put it in a warm place, and we'll come back when this is risen. Okay, Zoe, you can see it's doubled in size. Depending on how warm you keep it, it might happen a little bit quicker. It might take, an hour or so, or it might happen in, 40 minutes. So I'll leave it up to you to decide. You can see it's really sort of puffed up. You can smell that yeast, can't you?
It's beautiful. Really nice.
Luckily, we put plenty of oil in the bottom because it's just come straight out and hardly left anything behind. You did a great job of that. Now, what I'm going to do is just on the board here, I'm just going to cut it in half. What I want to do is get 12 little buns. So I just sort of roll it into like a little log like this, so it's a lot easier to portion up. Now, what I'll get you to do, in front of me is a baking tray. I want you to tear off a sheet of baking paper, scrunch it up and tuck it in so it goes in nice and neatly. Now, hopefully I'll get most of these to be fairly even. There's 6 there. I mean, if it's not that even, you can always tear a little bit off one. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Geez, I have to get my counting right there. And then the trick with these is to grab a little bun like this and you just sort of roll it around in your hand like that. And then what we do is we get 3 across and then 4 across the other side. There we go.
This really smells beautiful. It smells like that classic hot cross bun smell. I love it. Can't wait to try them.
Now we're going to throw these straight into here. Now normally we'd let it prove for a little bit, but they've come up pretty well. You sort of let it prove for about another 10 minutes or so, but these are going to go straight in the oven. Can you grab some of that bowl there and pour that into here?
I can do that.
Normally what I'd do, Zoe, is pop the hot cross buns into the oven for about, 20 minutes or so at 200°C and get a bit of crust on top, and then I would pour this on top. But you know what? In the interest of getting this into the oven, getting it cooking, we'll just do this straight away, and I'll show you how I do it. I've made a little cone out of the baking paper. You could, of course, use, those little Ziploc bags. You could also use one of them. Cut the corner off it, and I just fold this down here like this so it doesn't make too much of a mess. And what you do is just run the paste, which is just flour and a little bit of water there just to hold it together, and make sure it's nice and thick like this so it actually holds up. And I go across the top of it like this, and then across the other side. This is a great little job to get the kids to do.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure in a couple of years' time, little Emily's going to be saying, can I do what Adrian taught me to do, put the crosses on top of those hot cross buns?
Her spelt, wholemeal, gluten-free hot cross buns.
Golly goodness. Now, this will go into the oven for about 40 minutes or so. At 200°C, they'll become nice and sort of crusty on top. They will rise a little bit. They'll be nice and fluffy inside, like nice little currant buns or hot cross buns. They'll be perfect. Into the oven they go. Now, Zoe, the hot cross buns are cooked beautifully.
You're happy, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. I'm so excited. I love hot cross buns. Now, for me, they're not quite hot cross buns until they've been glazed. And you can glaze them with just sugar and water if you want. But here I've got some honey.
I can smell. I love that.
Some beautiful honey, because I like them when they're really sticky. I just brush it on top. Gives you a little bit more sweetness on there. You could use a little bit of apricot jam. I've seen people do that before. They let it down with a little bit of brandy. But I think it's delicious like that.
The adult version of hot cross buns, people.
Love it. There's such a small amount of brandy in there, it doesn't matter. But look how important it is. When you do glaze it, look how shiny it becomes. To me, that's what it's all about. Now, I'll just grab the paper there and just pop it out. It still is a bit hot. There we go. You can see these are nice and hot, which is good, because what we've got here, oh, look at that. I've got some butter here, and it's not a hot cross bun unless you've got lashings of butter on it.
You know what? Adrian, I happen to agree with you. You've got to have butter on hot cross buns.
Now, there we go. I'm going to give that to you, Zoe. Nice and hot. Normally, I like to toast them, but as you can see, because they're hot and straight out of the oven, the butter's just melted straight into them.
That is good. I mean, I would only have one all Easter, actually, to be quite honest. But it's beautiful. It's light and fluffy. The dried fruit and the peel is really nice and just the perfect amount of sweet.
Oh, they are delicious. Nice and fluffy. Lots of fruit in there. Make them delicious. I could actually have them with a bit of jam. I like that extra bit of sweetness.
Adrian, this has been a great Easter episode. Happy Easter, everyone.
We're getting chocolate Easter eggs.